Hi guys, welcome. My name is Erica. This is my first official Truth Talk video, which, for many years on Instagram and Facebook, I always shared, whether in posts or stories, these things that just are things that I've always worked on that I think internally, whether my yoga or meditation practice, that I think many of us work on but don't necessarily talk about because maybe we don't want to tap into that vulnerability. So that was my idea behind these truth talks or these videos. This is the first of many of this style of video. And the theme for this one is actually inspired by a virtual workshop that I just hosted this past weekend, which was so beautiful because my group was incredible. But more, and on top of that, I have a bunch of friends who couldn't make it. So I wanted to offer, of course, it's just going to be a small teaser, sliver, taste into the deep work that we did in the 2-hour workshop. But I wanted to offer this on YouTube just, again, for a little bit of a taste of that, to turn inward, to go deep, to honor that truth, to get uncomfortable, because that's right where the growth, that's where the transformation, that's where the healing happens. A tremendous part of my personal practices that I've coupled with yoga and meditation is journaling. And if you're newer to journaling, so basically every event that I host, whether it's a workshop, a retreat, a training, there's such a big emphasis on journaling. And if you're newer to this practice, it's a powerful practice in itself. So powerful, because what I've learned is sometimes the things that we write are different. There's more clarity than our thoughts. So we could be sitting in a meditation and processing something, but the words that we then write sometimes are different in a really beautiful and helpful way. And I think that when you marry the journaling practice with a yoga and meditation practice, it's just powerful beyond words. I've been journaling pretty steadily for about 7 years now, and it's fascinating when you go back and look at those entries just to see how much has changed. And it's a true testament again to these practices and to how much we have the ability to grow when we put this very brave work in. So if that speaks to you, I want to share a couple of the journaling questions that we worked with in this workshop. And, of course, we centered ourselves with a pretty strong breath practice. I opened up the night too by actually giving, the workshop was called The Art of Introspection. And I started by giving, of course, there's many definitions, but the one that spoke to me, resonated with me most, was applicable to where the direction of the workshop was going. I'm gonna share that now. But again, if you are inclined, please grab your journal. Please write these questions down, and you can revisit them and really write in depth at any moment. You don't have to really address them. I'll give you the information, and you take from this wherever you want it to go. So first, I opened up with the definition that most spoke to my workshop of introspection. And that was, introspection is the examination or observation of one's own mental and emotional processes. And the first question that I presented before we even began to move our bodies was, and this is such a loaded question, guys. This might, you might take an hour just to journal about later on, about question number 1. It's loaded, it's deep. Who was I before COVID? And what did I want out of life? So if you want to write that down and always revisit that later, that was the initial question. And I chose to offer the idea, the inspiration for this workshop actually came to me while I was meditating several weeks ago. But I very intentionally wanted to offer this workshop and now this video because at the end, God willing, we're at the tail end of this quarantine, I really wanted to offer this now to tap into all that we've experienced, the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows during the last 9 or so weeks. Because I believe that every single one of us has learned tremendous lessons, right, from this experience. So I know that first question is pretty loaded. But after you break that down and breathe into it, the next question that I want to offer was and is, what has isolation or removing distractions or taking this time to turn inward taught me about? And then I have several bullet points that I offered. Again, maybe some of these resonate more with you than others. But those bullet points are, right, what has isolation, removing distractions, taking this time to turn inward taught me about myself, my family and friends, my relationship with my body and my health, my relationship with my heart, my faith in the unknown, my resiliency, and my appreciation for life. And then after I presented those questions, these are things that just sort of come to me, things that I have worked on, that I have processed, that I have learned from. So I thought those questions will, of course, resonate with all of us in different ways. But overall, I think based on my experience, based on many conversations that I've had with students, with private clients, with friends and family, I think those are some of the biggest points that we've all sort of tackled during this very challenging experience, right? And, Saturday night, the night of the workshop, once we sort of dove into those questions, then we began to breathe and move together and open up our body. Because a lot of times too, in our yoga practice, when you start with these honest questions, and the deeper the breath becomes, the more aware the breath becomes. When the body starts to open, that facilitates, right, an opening in the thought process, the quality of the thoughts. And then I always invite my students in events like this to breathe into those questions further as you flow and notice how the answers to those questions might change over the course of the practice. So in this workshop, we got really deep into the practice. We flowed for about 75 minutes, and then we had about a 15-minute meditation at the end, an extended Shavasana. And then once I brought everyone out of that meditation, I shared this last question that I want to also offer you guys on this video. And again, another deep loaded question, but as yogis and as seekers and as people who want to honor that truth, who want to live that authentic life, this work, what I've learned is when we choose that path of authenticity, of truth, this work doesn't really stop, right? I think the work gets easier. I think the work evolves, but we're constantly learning about ourselves, and we're constantly upping the bar for what we want and how we can better serve our community and our partners and our people. So again, just another reflective question here. And that was, who do I want to show up as in the world after this chapter? And what do I want out of life now? And as you start to think about that, you might even just close your eyes for a moment and just start to notice the rhythm of the breath. Maybe you even connect it to the pulse of the heart here. Maybe before you even put that pen to the paper later on tonight when you turn to these journaling questions. to first consider, right, as you breathe in, maybe again, that version of yourself that you want to show up as in the world when our new normal, I'll say that, when our new normal resumes. And who do you want to breathe out? Maybe even allowing that exhale to be that opportunity to breathe out the residue, the heaviness from this experience that we don't want to bring with us going forward. Slowly begin to open the eyes. All right, guys, that's a lot of journaling for you. If you weren't with me Saturday night, again, just a little teaser I wanted to offer in case you weren't able to make it. And I know it's going to be, I know there's a lot that this will present when you start to write. So as always, be gentle with yourself, be compassionate with yourself. Know what an incredibly brave being and badass you are for choosing to do this work, for honoring this practice of introspection. I'd love to hear your thoughts, any questions, any comments. Email me, DM me. You guys know where to find me. Love you guys. All my love.